Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
Hey, Larson.
Yeah.
Let's answer some questions. What do you say?
Yeah. Kiv here asked, should the current backstage issues turn out to be true, could we consider CM Punk's legacy better off if he didn't return to wrestling back in 2021?
His legacy,
well, here's the thing about the current backstage issues, I think, is that it's nothing necessarily new in terms of in terms of Punk's reputation. You know, Punk has already had previously had a reputation for being at times maybe difficult to work with. So I don't necessarily think I don't think this is going to tarnish his reputation more than anything else.
I think you're right, but I think at this point he is. I still think it's way up in the air. If I'll put it this way, this can go one of two ways. Either cooler heads will prevail, and this situation will be fixed, and he'll have his normal title run. And then he'll drop it to an appropriate person, whoever that might be. And then he'll, play out the rest of his contract, maybe do one more contract in AEW, and then he'll probably call it a day because he's old.
Yeah,
that's what old people do. And in which case, if that's the case, I think his legacy will remain intact.
Yeah.
However,
if somehow his backstage attitude leads to AEW's implosion.
Right. If the company folds because of CM Punk, certainly that'll tarnish his legacy.
Yes.
But it all depends. It's still a fluid situation. We're a couple days out from Dynamite. I think we'll learn a lot then. Certainly by All Out, we'll have a better picture. But if he's sitting there thinking I've done nothing wrong, they need to work around me.
Yeah, his idea of compromise is they do what he wants.
Right. Then that's going to be an issue. I get the feeling that this will all be sorted out. They'll be able to turn into a story and everything will be fine. I kind of feel like that's going to be the situation. If he starts running off, if like Kenny, the Bucks and Hangman end up leaving next year or whenever their contracts, I think next year. I think they had I
think it's next year. Yeah.
I think it's next year. If they end up leaving en masse to WWE, and some of it stems from like Punk's backstage behavior, which I think is kind of outlandish to think that's going to get to that point. But I guess you never know.
Yeah.
If they're not happy there and they're like, hey, Triple H is going to treat us like stars. Then I don't know. That might happen. I don't know.
You never know.
I don't know.
You never know.
Mayor Planet Houston says, in your opinion, when should Vince have stepped down? At what point do you feel his presence was first starting to actively hurt the product? And by him leaving then, he could have gone out while on top. So my opinion on this is either at the... So, realistically, 2015, 2016, when you had successful call-ups, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, when the realization was there that, hey, this NXT thing is pretty good, let's hand the reins over. I think that's when he should have stepped. I think that's when, creatively speaking, because once 2016 came around, I think it was like once Jinder became champion, there's like some like Google trend graphs that proved that like, yeah, that really tanked like the trending activity for the company or whatever. I think once Triple H proved that he knew what he was doing with NXT, I think he should have handed it off.
I mean, that's good rationale. I just thought after Mania 29, is that the one where Cena beat The Rock?
Okay,
because that's like the marquee match, the most marquee match he could have had at that time. Go out after that show. So that'd have been 2013, I believe. And the only reasoning is, well, you know what? This is the most profitable match I could probably put on at this point in time. Mm-hmm. So I'll just go now.
Yeah. Go out on top. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could make the case for maybe after the invasion angle.
You could make the case in 1992 when business went to shits.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
There's
a lot of cases that could have been made there. C.T. Van says, do you think having the AEW Women's Title redesigned so many times in such a short life tarnishes the legacy of it and contributes to... No, it has nothing to do with the title or what it looks like. It is all about the stories and how much time and energy is devoted to it, the effort they put into telling the stories. That's exclusively it.
Yep, that is it. Enforcer here asks, now that the main roster has Triple H running things, what's the show every week that is the slog to get through? If you didn't have to cover it for the business, what would you drop?
So Raw is still 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's a lot more enjoyable now than it was before, and it's interesting to see these changes take place. 3 hours is still a lot to get through. I don't really consider it a slog anymore, necessarily. If I didn't have to cover it for the business, I'd probably drop Rampage at this point. It seems like the least amount of stuff happens on Rampage. I'd drop Rampage, and I'd probably drop NXT.
Yeah, those are the two shows. Rampage doesn't feel like a slog because it's only an hour, but it doesn't really feel like a lot happens on the show. There's some weeks on NXT where it's really talky, and there's tons of segments that it feels like, to me, it feels like a slog.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just constant changes of segments and a bunch of talky stuff happening. Yeah. NXT is the one show now that at times, not consistently, but at times could feel like a slog for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if they change that up. If because I get the feeling with the influx of NXT UK kids, after Worlds Collide, it would not shock me to see an aesthetic rebrand and a philosophical rebrand of NXT to make it a bit more black and goldish, or something new, something even more, sort of. I don't know. I get the feeling that they if they're going to do it, they're going to do it then.
Yeah, and Triple H is going to do it his way. Jesse Hood here asks, how would you book the FTW title going forward?
Put it on Zach Clayton.
You want me to stop watching AEW, huh?
You know what they should do? Have Hobbs beat Hook for it. Mm-hmm. Have him after he's done with Starks, he goes for Hook, and he gives Hook his first win. I'm sorry, his first loss. Yeah,
that'd be great.
Yeah,
that would be great.
And then he retires it. He sells it on eBay. Put this title where it belongs, back on eBay. Then he beats Wardlow, and then he becomes champ by beating CM Punk.
Oh wow, that's good.
Hobbs has all the titles. Nick asks, after last week's SmackDown, when do you think Sammy will become a babyface again?
I think he's getting there now. He's on the way.
He's really getting there. I think that turn is happening right now. For me, it's been happening. For me, it's been a while now.
Luis Ariza asked, do you think it would have been easier for Tony Khan to buy Ring of Honor outright instead of making his own promotion? I guess rather than creating AEW, just buying Ring of Honor and then making that what AEW is now.
So easier, maybe, but I do feel like there's something to be said about a fresh brand. I think Impact had an issue. I don't know about now, but like for the longest time, even when Impact was doing cool stuff, it still had that Impact stink to it.
Oh, it definitely did, yeah.
And it took
there was an Impact stigma for a while, yeah.
It took a while for it to sort of, come in. And so I think there's something to be said for, instead of buying a mess, just create something fresh from the ground up. And I think it will attract a lot more people. So, I mean, would it have been easier? Like, I don't know, maybe financially, but I don't know. I don't know. I think that creating something fresh was the smart move.
No, I think so too.
JTB says, with Daniel Garcia potentially leaving Jericho Appreciation Society for the Combat Club, does the Blackpool Combat Club need any more members, or is this enough? I don't think he's going to join the Combat Club. I think he's gonna sort of become like a Shibata, like he's just gonna be his own dude.
I would be surprised if he joins Combat Club if that's the route they take. If they decide that he wants Danielson to be his mentor and not Jericho, I wouldn't be surprised
if he actually joins.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this: is it weird that two older dudes are fighting over the mentorship of a younger guy, as opposed to just letting the younger guy decide on his own? I mean, it's wrestling, but still.
Yeah, it is wrestling, but I understand your point. Yeah.
Because you can easily make the joke, oh, it's, for custody of Daniel Garcia, when Daniel Garcia is a grown-ass man.
I guess you could frame it this way, and that it's not so much the winner is the official mentor of Daniel Garcia. It's the way for two potential mentors to show that they have the bona fides to actually be mentor.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's up to Garcia whether he will accept being protege to the winning mentor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see here. Tristan, power rank the top 3 guys you'd like to see face Pac for the All Atlantic title. Ospreay.
Malachi.
Well, that's good. Oh, and then of course Miro.
Yeah.
Darius
Corey, do you think Braun can come up to main as is, or should he have a repackage? He feels like a SmackDown guy, but I can't imagine how he'd fit currently. Yeah, I mean, he feels like I don't see him being huge star on main roster with his current character gimmick type deal.
Yeah. I feel like he needs to be called up so they can start working him into stories, because like at NXT it's just like it's not really helping NXT. It's not helping him. And I think he needs to go up. And it's just, I don't think he needs a repackage. I think he should be Braun Steiner. Mm-hmm. I think why not lean into, I mean, he's already clearly a Steiner. I don't think it really matters necessarily, but like, I don't know what you do with him. You just sort of plug him into stories, I guess. What you see is what you get.
Yeah. White Brownie with the Good Brothers pretty much on their way out of Impact. Could you see Triple H make a run for them, and how do you see them being booked under this new regime? I don't know what kind of relationship they have with Triple H. Obviously, dealing with Vince's creative drove them crazy, and that's they seem almost pleased to have gotten released because they don't have to deal with that anymore.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know if now that Triple H is in charge.
Mm-hmm.
R. Gorman here says they signed extensions according to Cultaholics. So the Fightful Select story says they signed short-term extensions with Impact to get them through August this month, I think.
Yeah, and they have like an agreement with New Japan, I think, to work all the way through Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
But I mean, even like long-term, let's say, I don't know, next year they come up. I mean, Triple H still probably going to be in charge at that point. In terms of a relationship, I don't know. I feel like everything is new. It feels like it's like they had that run, and even I've been reading. Chris Charlton has been reading and translating the more interesting parts about Kenta's book, because right now there's not an English translation out. And so that's been kind of interesting. He sounds like he's got regrets about his time in NXT, and I wonder if Kenta would want to go back to WWE now that Triple H is in charge. He's the guy who brought him in. Because he says that his shoulder surgery that was done in the U.S., his Japanese doctor later on said they could have done a better job here. Like this was not the ideal surgery right here. So I don't know, man. I feel like if anybody can have a clean slate for WWE, it's going to be Triple H with all these guys. It's like what more could Triple H have done while they were there on main roster, and you had Vince McMahon booking all their stupid comedic shit,
Yeah.
So I feel like it's sort of the door's open for kind of anybody except for CM Punk probably.
Yeah, probably Phil. I'm kind of wondering about some of the wrestlers. You bring up Kenta, and then another name that pops in my head is Kushida, who came to NXT, and even in NXT, I know Kenta, and to a certain degree Kushida as well. Their time in NXT was just kind of hampered with injuries.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I mean, towards the end of Kenta's run in NXT, they finally got into that title program against Bob Roode. He lost, but it was, he was in the title program.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And he got brought up to 205 for a short spell. They never really seemed to fully utilize, even from early on, Kenta's immense talents.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you see the awesome stuff he's doing now.
Mm-hmm.
Even the stuff he's doing towards the tail end of his run in NXT was really good.
Yeah, yeah.
But early on, I don't know. It's like he didn't have a character, really.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens with a lot of the wrestlers who didn't have good experiences in WWE. If, I mean, seemingly all the reports would suggest a lot of people are thinking, now it's a different situation because Triple H is there.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, all right, that is going to do it for us. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notify bell. We appreciate it. And every Monday we drop a questions thread on the community tab over at Friendo Club Wrestling. So go check that out. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.